All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High. Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. That is to say in the Paleo Hebrew, Yahweh, which is the name of our Heavenly Father, meaning He is, Bahashem, which means in the name, Yahweh Shai, which means He is our salvation. And that is who the world ignorantly calls Jesus a so-called black man, all right? And oh boy, the plot thickens, okay? In the midst of this government shutdown, the SNAP benefits being paused or put on ice or frozen, the Trump administration, within this 48-hour window that was allotted to them by the Supreme Court, has just found fraud, okay? And this can be very well the stage being set for something digital, all right? A digital ID, all right? Because although they're trying to say that immigrants are getting, and that's illegal immigrants, SNAP benefits, we know eventually they're never going to let a good crisis go to waste, all right? They're going to more than likely use this SNAP benefit thing to get people to acquiesce or to capitulate to a digital ID or a app or something along that line to receive their SNAP benefits, okay? And this is just my speculation from what I just seen in this video that we're going to play, and from the headline that says massive fraud. Trump administration sounds alarm on SNAP program abuse. And we all been there and seen it. People will essentially sell their food stamps or their snaps for money, okay? You may have $500 worth of food stamps and you may sell it to somebody for $250 cash, all right? Well, they're going to put an end to that, all right? And that's what they're looking to do in this 2-day window, 48 hours that Trump was given to come to a conclusion or a way around this, all right? And we know eventually where this thing is heading to, all right? So let's listen to this little segment right here, and then let's get a few precepts. So check this out.
The Supreme Court granting the Trump administration's emergency appeal to temporarily block a court order to fully fund SNAP food aid payments amid the government shutdown.
The order coming as the Agriculture Department was working to comply with the previous order to provide November's SNAP benefits.
Here to react is Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins. Brooke, it's so great to have you back. We've been talking about ratings. So last week we had you on to talk about SNAP. You posted that, and you got 40 million views. I want to ask you about what's happening with that ruling last night, but tell me why you think that went so viral.
Well, it's interesting, Rachel. I have been doing this for a really long time, and we talked about this last Saturday, that, listen, people want the government open. They want those who are the most vulnerable, who are hungry, to make sure that they are fed. That's the SNAP program. But within all of that, the level of fraud and corruption and double dipping and selling benefits is astounding, and I think it hit a nerve.
See that? Selling benefits, okay? So this administration is more than likely going to be that one of that puts an end to this SNAP fraud, this selling your benefits for cash instead of using it for what it was intended for, which is what? Getting food, okay? So we're going to see how they're going to go about doing this, okay? So they put this SNAP on an app or something along that line and make it go digital, and have the stores, that are in regulations or in ordinance with this SNAP program, the only stores that you can buy and get the food for, it's going to end a lot of this fraudness, okay?
With America, to have our discussion, 40 million people watch it, about how corrupt the SNAP program is, how we have to fix it, I think just tells you that Americans are paying attention and they're not okay with government as usual. We need to clean the house up, and that's what we're doing.
So the Center for Immigration Studies has found that anywhere from 50 to 60% of households that are headed by illegal immigrants rely on SNAP benefits and other programs.
See, and now how they shifting the blame onto illegal immigrants, all right? You're going to be the face on why SNAP takes on a new face, all right, digitally, okay? Because 60 to 50% of illegal immigrants' households, they're saying, are using and abusing this SNAP program, okay? So guess what? They're going to have to verify that the recipients are indeed those that are supposed to receive this SNAP and no one else. So more than likely, they're going to go digital with this thing.
Similar to that. Is there a problem with that?
Well, we, at almost the very beginning, I think on my first day, I sent a letter to every governor in America saying, send us your data. No illegal aliens on any SNAP or food stamp or WIC program, period, full stop. Everyone said, oh, no, we're not doing that. It is illegal. I mean, it is not allowable. However, the 29 states, mostly red states that sent us their data, what we found was really astounding. And now we're in lawsuits to get the rest of the data so that we can work to fix this. So there is no doubt that there is a massive, massive fraud in the program. But having said that, the Democrats have voted 15 times to not fund SNAP. There are legitimate families in this country that rely on that program to feed their family. We got to get the government open.
Right.
And guess what? Those legitimate families, they're going to have no problem with signing up and going through the proper channels to get this digital ID or this digital SNAP or this eventually universal basic income and eventually the RFID microchip. They're going to have no problem with that, okay? So we see now where this thing is taking a turn and heading to, okay? Within 48 hours, all right?
So, Madam Secretary, what is your reaction to this judge's ruling?
Well, so last night, just to very quickly summarize for everyone, the Constitution, basically the executive branch takes the money from Congress, from the legislative branch. This goes back to the very beginning. We just can't create money out of the sky. That's not how the United States work. It's interesting, the No Kings rally, right, where they said, we don't want a king in America, except now they want a king that can create money out of the sky, the clear blue sky. And so a very leftist judge in Rhode Island said, oh, go create the money, everybody. Go find it. And then the First Circuit basically agreed with that.
See, there's no money left to fund these programs, man. All right? They're going to scream out and cry fraud so that they can be what? Justified in bringing in this digital ID or this digital way of life. All right? And we know eventually that's not going to last for long. They're going to have to come with a more secure form of digital. And that's going to be when they put that chip inside of your hand. All right. So we're now seeing the fruits of their labor being brought forth and shown to the light, what they're getting ready to bring forth. All right.
But last night, y'all, Judge Ketanji Brown, no great friend of, free market and constitutional government, said, no, we need to stay this for 48 hours. The First Circuit needs to take another good look at this, that this probably is not constitutional. You can't just create money to fund a program that Congress refuses to fund.
All right, Secretary.
So there you have it. You can't just create money that Congress don't have to fund it. So what do you got to do? You got to come up with a digital ID where you can what? Put expiration dates on things. Now you have to spend this money by the end of this month or else you lose it. See? This is where we're going at. This is where we're taking this at. They're finna introduce CBDCs. They want to get that stable coin out and about. So now they can give you your money, but you have to spend it within that limit or that time frame, or else it's going to vanish, disappear. Because it's digital. All right? You're not going to be able to sell it. I got $600 on my EBT. I'll tell you what, you give me $300 cash and I'll give you the $600. No, you're not going to be able to do that because why? It's going to have an expiration date on it. Okay? You may have only a week or two to get whatever you need. All right? See, you can't sell it for cash no more because who's going to trade their cash in for something that's going to expire in a day or two? So they're getting ready to shift this thing into another level now. All right, which was their goal, their agenda from the beginning. All right? And we're sitting here telling you to get right. Come to the waters and drink while you can and get this knowledge, just understand it, because this devil is getting ready to come in with a great wrath. All right? Now check this out. Let me bring this up. Now just doing a little thinking here, I put into the Google search bar, is Snap going digital to fight fraud, to make sure no one can abuse the program, or no one isn't abusing the program? Let's see what the AI overview said. Yes, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, is undergoing significant digital modernization efforts to combat fraud and abuse. Right. So they come with that digital SNAP and expiration where you got to spend it before this certain period of time. And that's going to what? That's going to cut back on a lot of people that's getting this SNAP benefit and selling it for cash. Okay. Because now they can't just hold on to SNAP and use it at their leisure. They got to spend it before that specific date expires. It says the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, and state agencies are working to strengthen EBT card security, primarily through the adoption of more secure technology and advanced data analytics. Right. So they seeing, okay, we got the data, the analytics to show that this person right here doesn't really use all their SNAP by the end of the month. They still have hundreds of dollars left over for the next month, and we can't have that. So we're going to what? Reduce their SNAP benefits, or at the bare minimum, give them an expiration date that they have to use this by. All right? See, since they can't print money out of thin air, they can put expiration dates on the money that they have and afford it to give to these recipients to use by. Okay? You got 3 weeks, because we looked at your data from the previous 2 or 3 months to see that your spending habit doesn't require you to have a good 2-month spending habit. You only need a few weeks. You got a couple of children. So you don't need to have, 3 months worth of SNAP benefits. All you need is a month, okay? And then they'll watch your spending habits and then make the adjustments for the next month. It says chip card technology. The USDA is continually working with states to modernize EBT cards by rolling out chip card technology, considered the gold standard for secure electronic transactions. Yeah, this may be one that they give you a card just so you can feel some type of, empowerment. But even so, that card is going to be linked up with your expiration date. All right. So you may be able to use the card in a store within that period or that time frame that you have given due to that digital ID, or should I say that app that you have to register to receive your benefits. So let's say you go to the store and you use this chip card. Well, guess what? It's tracking and is linked up to your app on your phone that gives you the date that you have to use your SNAP benefits by. All right. Data analytics. The USDA SNAP fraud framework provides states with evidence-based strategies to detect and prevent recipient fraud. Right. Those that just, still receive a SNAP, although they don't need it, and selling it. Well, put that digital expiration date on it. All right. That way they can't get cold hard cash, because they're going to eventually do away with cash anyways. It says, which includes utilizing data analytics, there that word go again, to identify suspicious activities, such as identifying potential cases of SNAP applicants applying for benefits in multiple states. Look at that. So you got recipients that's applying for SNAP in different states. See? So this thing goes deeper than just the government, trying to withhold SNAP benefits. No, they're trying to say that they're fixing a abused system. So they're going to need more time, which is going to what? Allow the court to grant them that appeal to try to fix this thing, to put the SNAP benefits on froze for even more time, days, weeks, or months. All right? To what? Starve out the people. So when they do come with the solution, you're going to take it. All right? Albeit draconian. All right? Because now you got an expiration date to use by. And what are you going to do? Disagree with them, saving the country, which is a corporation, money, by not just putting unnecessary funds on cars when people don't need it? See, they've been collecting the data for a very specific reason. And now you about to see it now. All right? Mobile apps and card management tools. Many states offer EBT card holders access to mobile apps like EBT Edge and online portals where they can check balances, freeze their cards, block out of state transactions, and change their PINs frequently, which helps protect their benefits from scammers. But none so more than an app that allows you to see when your benefits will expire. All right? So they're getting ready to come down with these draconian laws and these measurements. All right? So let's go ahead and open up with that in the book of Isaiah. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 1. It reads, "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed." See? And they're going to use this whole illegal immigrant to do just that. They're going to prescribe grievous rules and regulations that now, in order for you to receive your SNAP, you have to be compliant with the new regulations, which we're going to give you, which entails your benefits running out at a specific time. All right? And you have to spend normal, regular habits, because we're going to watch it and we're going to analyze your data. And based on your spending habits, we're going to give you that time frame that you can spend this benefits. All right? So they're watching your activity on your card, your EBT card, your SNAP. All right? And they're going to make a judgment on who gets this amount a lot of time and who gets that amount a lot of time. All right? So they're setting the stage for what? Complete tyranny. All right? Government, tyrannical, rulership. All right? And eventually, they're going to use that to come against you if you say something bad about them. All right? We're just going to cut their benefits off altogether. All right? So this is the introduction stage to the people, wanting something from the government, and in return, they're going to have to give the government something back. All right? Their freedom, which they already been giving it to, but they're just going to have to actually come to the realization that now they got to willfully hand it over to them in order for them to receive their benefits. Because why? As the lady said, they don't got the money no more. So this is the next best thing, all right, for us to monitor or manage our benefits that we give to you, all right? And if you needy enough, you won't have no problem with it. But if you greedy, you're going to see it as a problem, because why? You've been defrauding the system. So it says, "And they write grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment." See? And yeah, you may have certain of our people that need this program, all right? The elderly, the disabled, all right? But guess what? They don't need it more than this truth, all right? Because this truth is telling them that if they turn and repent from their sins and their evil thoughts, that the Lord will provide for them, all right? Because that's the end game. Who are you going to choose to depend on? This man's system or Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai? All right, because no man can serve two masters. Matthew 6. It says, "And to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless." See? And they're going to get a lot of our people, 2/3 of our people, because why? They haven't returned to their power. They continue to be widows. They continue to be fatherless. So guess what? They're going to be given over to a prey, because you don't want to return to your father, Yahweh, and your bridegroom, Yahweh Shai. You're going to be given over to prey, man. All right? And no one's going to think twice about it. You ain't going to hear us crying for you, because why? We're crying right now, showing our people their transgressions, and they don't want to take heed. So when this wicked devil comes with it, we're going to tell you that what? We told you so. It says, "And what will they do Slack. And what will ye do in the day of visitation, in the desolation which shall come from far? To whom will ye flee for help? And where will ye live? Where will ye leave your glory? Right. So who you gonna go to in that time? Because these times are coming. All right. You ain't gonna be able to find Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So who you gonna go to? Jesus? Your pastor? Your preacher? Who you gonna go to? No one. You're gonna be out there left all alone. All right. Without me, they shall bow down under the prisoners. See? So you finna get ready to bow down to these prisoners, man. This system, this government. All right. Esau, Edom. And they shall fall under the slain. For all this, his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still. See? And the Lord is giving you a way out of this still right now before it gets too heated. See, but our people, they don't want to seek Yahweh. They don't want to forsake their evil ways, all right? They want to continue to lean on this government, this broken reed, this system, all right? Until it pierces their hand, okay? Let's get that. I'm liking that scripture more and more, all right, as we get closer to this time. Isaiah 36:6, lo, thou trustest in the staff of this broken reed, all right, this government, on Egypt, whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all that trust in him. See? And this is what's going to happen to our people. They're going to trust in it because why? They don't have no other option because why? They rejected their only way out of this thing. All right? And hey, it is what it is. You won't get no gripe or complaints from us because we did our part, man. We did what was told from us. So the blood is off our hands, man. All right? The sword is coming and it's going to be on them. All right? It's going to be on them. And we're not concerned. We're only concerned about the righteous, the elect. All right? So he prescribes grievous decrees and he's getting ready to prescribe one just for this very specific moment. All right? Revelation 13:11 says what? And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. Speaking of America. All right? The first beast was the Roman Empire. Now this is Rome all over again. And he had two horns like a lamb. See? And you go into that word horn, that goes into power. So his democracy, his Republican, and his Democrat. His Democratic. And he spake as a dragon, right? Because within his laws, they're draconian. All right? You go into that word dragon, it's dracon. All right? That's where you get draconian from. All right? And he prescribes grievous, what does it say? Isaiah 10:1. He prescribed grievous and he write grievousness which they prescribe, right? So he writes decrees unrighteousness and their grievousness which they prescribe. Okay, so there will be no rest for you 2/3 of our people and the rest of you heathen nations here in Babylon the Great, man. All right, things are only going to escalate for the worst case scenario. All right, because you've been warned, man. All right, now they done talked about fraud now. All right, here it is. You was on the verge of receiving your whole full benefits for the month of November. So now they're put on hold, pause, froze. Now they done brought up investigation on fraud and they're using the good old quote unquote illegal immigrant status, routine. So get ready, man. All right, get ready. This thing could continue, could potentially continue to go on all the way up until next year, Lord willing, Abaratazar. See? So it's finna get real out here, all right? And you've been warned. 1 Peter 5:8 states what? To be sober, be vigilant. See? We telling you, come get this water, all right? It's free, all right? Come let your soul delight in fatness, all right? It says, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour, right? He's going to put your loyalty to the test, okay? Who are you more loyal to? This system that's been providing you and taking care of you since you could remember, or to some God who you don't even know. All right. See, the elect, we know. All right. We know who the power is, Yahweh, and his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai. But to the 2/3, it's as if we speaking to them in tongues, another language, man. All right. Which they can't get. All right. Because why? The book is sealed to them. They don't have the understanding. All right. So guess what? They finna be numbered to the slaughter. All right. And we told you, they're going to start coming after these programs, man. All right. Next, you may see Section 8. Eventually, you're going to see WIC. You're going to see Social Security. All right. The jobs are not safe. All right. They got to get rid of all of this, man, because they're bringing in or ushering in a new system, the New World Order, which is going to be backed and spearheaded by what? The RFID microchip, the Karagma, the mark of the beast. All right. So we've been telling you, while you still can get it, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. All right. He's coming after the fatherless and the widow. All right. Those that don't want to return back to the Father and the only begotten Son, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. All right. So we're going to end on that note. And with that being said, pray someone was edified through this lesson. And until the next time, if it be the Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. We're almost home. Shalom. Peace.